Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to On the Spot with David Rogers. Again, tonight we have Mr. Ron Griffis on. We had some technical difficulties yesterday and wanted to give him an opportunity uh, to stay on, and hopefully those interruptions do not happen this afternoon. Mr. Griffis, thank you again for joining us.
Appreciate you having me back.
Mr. Griffis, we went over a lot of things dealing with the alcohol class. Just want to kind of iterate on that just a little bit. Go ahead and tell people a little bit about yourself. How many wins y'all have had, how successful y'all were in IHRA, and a little bit about NHRA.
Well, I've been racing since the like mid '70s. I went to my first drag race, and then I run comp in the '80s, all the way up until till we went in A Fuel, which is in 2000. And in comp, I run door cars, dragsters, and alters. My favorite car was an AEA, which is a 23T, 300 inches, with one carburetor and an automatic transmission. That was my fun car. That was the baby. And then we moved to this one in 2000 to an A Fuel car because that's what my daughter wanted. And we moved into it, and she took over the reins. And I had her in the junior dragster at 10 and a half. And then at 16, she had her super comp. So after about a year and a half of that, and she stepped right up in an A Fuel car at 17. She's been in it ever since. So now, after 20 years, she's moved on her way, and then I'm taking the reins over again and see where we're going.
Now, you did say that, this year that you are trying to plan to go to Charlotte and also go to Ennis, Texas. Is that correct?
That's what we're working on right now. We're working on the funding and stuff part of it. It's everybody's on the fence right now. I mean, some people are getting some money, but they're not getting very much. And we have some things lined up. If one goes through and helps another one out, I think we can make it. That's what we're shooting for.
Well, I tell you what, I hope the best for you. Right now, everything is up, fuel, the cost of parts, trying to get them to your house. Even when you go to a grocery store, even groceries have climbed up over the past couple of months, and hopefully we'll see some signs of that receding a little bit, and hopefully the cost will go down on shipping. We were getting a little bit into your shop and everything that you do there at Innovative Chassis Works, and that is located in Gainesville.
Yeah, ICW Race Car. We've been established. We legally incorporated in January of '92, and but I've been building my own cars all my life, and then every once in a while I build a car for somebody else or whatever. But legally, we went into it in '92 January, and I got cars from Hawaii to Alaska to Europe to Malta, and all over the Caribbean. I got like a dozen cars in Aruba, and I used to have a place down there, but now we got rid of that, and now we're concentrating on here, and they want me to come back down. I got a call the other day wanting to build another car, repeat customer. So everything is, my business is still doing good. I mean, we still have orders, and we got cars. The shop is full, and we were doubting it. You listen to the news every day, you get depressed, but everybody's wanting to race. It's just a different breed of people all over. So that's what we've been doing for a pretty good while. We build anything. We're from my chassis is top fuel chassis, but most of the time we build top dragsters, super comps, super gases. I just got rid of a top sportsman door car last Saturday, and we deal all the way down to subframe kits, rear clips, front clips, back halves, front halves. It all, whatever you want, we can do it. Whether you want, and what's really going now is the no prep deal with them type of cars. They're real cars, and you got to do suspension modifications to them and stuff. So we do that too, and whatever it needs to get done, we do it. We're complete race car fabrication.
Now, if someone wants to bring you a car to have some work on it, how would they get a hold of it?
Just call us at 352-495-5158, or shop phone number. You can leave a message in case we're busy making noise. And He'll get right back with you, and we talk about it and see what you want to do. Like customer brought it's going to be a back half job in the other day. He called me. One of my customers recommended me to him. So he calls me, says, I want him to call you. 5 minutes later, he calls me. Next thing, the car is here. The next day, the car is here. That's just the way it works out. You know, I've been in business a long time. I don't advertise anymore. I don't let anybody know that I'm even alive, basically. It's just word of mouth these days because it's your reputation. That's what you built over the last 30 years. And in this drag racing is a small community of people. It's not really big as like, say, NASCAR, you have 43 cars running. Well, drag racing, you have 16 cars in one class and 16 in another class and 32 in another class and then 60 in another class. So it's not really a big operation like everybody thinks it is. But
Right.
the racetracks across the country, people racing it every weekend at local tracks, and that's what makes it really a crowd-pleasing deal that you can participate in it. And every I don't know how many drag strips are in Florida. There's probably 5 or 6 or 7 racetracks in Florida that you could actually run out on every weekend, especially in Florida. You know, Gainesville, they close it down just for a little bit, I think a week or two. But Orlando and Bradenton and all them, they stay open all the time. You know,
Yeah.
you can
And that's what's so good about
Mm-hmm.
that's what's so good about living in the state of Florida. The
Yeah.
access to all the tracks, you know.
Yeah. Well, I got a car in Alaska, and he calls me every once in a while. He calls me up and lets me know. I mean, they shut down, and they're down for 6 months. And I got like one guy that runs one of my top dragsters in Idaho. I mean, he quits like in October, you know, and they don't start up till like I think it's like April or May or something like that. I think it is, and so they're shut down a long time. We're here in Florida. We want to go somewhere. Get a car. You go to Orlando. Go to the car or the truck and trailer. Go to Orlando. Go to Bradenton. Come here to Gainesville. You go to Valdosta right up the street. I mean, you go anywhere you want to go. It's just a matter of a couple hours. And you can run your car.
Now, I got a question. Tell our viewers, say if someone's interested in you building them a alcohol dragster,
Mm-hmm.
how long does it usually take to, you know, go through and build all the framing and stuff for a top alcohol dragster?
Usually on an alcohol dragster, it takes about 3 months because it's a lot more detail. You got to make your aluminum gas tank. You got to make your helmet shroud. You got to do a little bit more work than a regular supercomp. Supercomp car usually took about 8 to 10 weeks usually, and the way things are going now, it's like 8 to 10 weeks plus right now. And because sometimes they have a tubing and sometimes they don't. It's got to come from somewhere else or whatever. Because I only use German tubing, you know, which is the best, Plymouth. And sometimes they have it, and sometimes they don't. So that's what we have to work with. And everybody's understanding. I mean, like I just got rid of a 4-link dragster maybe a couple of months ago, and it was like a 4-month car because I couldn't get the 4-link operation for it. So it's just the way it is, you know, with the times we live in right now. So everything's and everybody's understanding, so it's no big deal. You know, we just move on to something else and then come back to it and finish it up.
Now, usually, what is the size of that tubing that y'all use?
Well, depends on what you're going to run. Like a standard super comp car, you know, the front tubing is 1.25 inches. The driver's bottom frame rail is 1 3/8, and the back is 1.25 inches. Where if you go to say like a top dragster, it changes over to 1.5 inches in the back because you got a lot more power. I mean, you go
Right.
6.0, you know, whatever. Basically, when I build my top dragster, it's a miniature copy of an A fuel car. I do it the same type of geometry and stuff, and the tubing is almost as thick, but just about as many tubes in it, but it's designed basically after an A fuel car. That's how the top dragster is. And then the super comp car, you know, it would have a little bit less, you know, heavier, just less heavy duty, say it's, you know, it has a little bit thinner tubing in certain areas and stuff. So you got to still allow the flex in the chassis. Because if you get tubing too thick in the front, then it won't work. Dragsters are related to horsepower. The thinner the smaller tubing for a super comp car, a little bit thicker for a little bit more power, and and then you got your A fuel car, and then you got your top fuel car. My A fuel car is a top rated because I always try to overkill everything because that's what I'm trying to sell. Is a top fuel chassis, and it uses inch and a half, like 90 wall tubing on it in the back, and so it's a lot thicker, or 83 wall tubing, and so it's a lot thicker car on my car. So it takes a little bit more punishment than the standard. The standard A fuel cars, they still use 058 tubing. For mine, I just made it 083 because I wanted it to last forever, and it has.
Right.
You
You don't have to worry about those, stress cracks and having to go back in
right.
and
Right.
fix all of that.
Yeah, when you have one made out of 058 and you run it hard like we do, you better stay on top of it. You got to stay on top of it. Well, ours is a top fuel car, so we know we have more car than we have power. We only have like 4,000 horsepower, where they have 11,000. So everything is less for us, so we know it's going to last.
Now, when you do build these alcohol dragsters on y'all's wings, when you get to that point, do y'all use aluminum or do y'all go carbon fiber?
Well, our bodies, I make all mine all aluminum, all aircraft aluminum on mine. Some people use the magnesium for they do, but it's a lot difference in price. But I've never had one of my bodies fly off a car. Like what happens is some of the magnesium, they get cracks and crack across it and stuff from the vibration, the shaking of the tires and stuff. It's a lot more, it's stronger. That's what it is. It's magnesium. But with mine, I built a couple of body cars over the years and stuff. Mine, I want to be able to take panels off of and work on it, but it's whatever the customer wants. If he wants a one-piece body, I have a one-piece body car in the shop right now. It's a carbon fiber body. So it's what everybody wants. If somebody wants them because they don't have the panels in them, but they just kind of make it more harder to work on because you have your access panels, but you can't really get to everything. So it takes two people to pull the body off, and 2 seconds later you're ready to go. Where ours, you just pull one panel off, and that's all you need. That's a standard car.
Well, I got someone who wants to tell us hello, and you probably recognize this name. It's Miss Glenda.
Okay. Oh, okay.
She wants to tell us hello.
Okay.
We appreciate it, Miss Glenda. We're glad that you're able to join us tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. But she wanted to tell us hello. Now, I want to get into the rear ends that you use in your dragsters. Do you prefer Strange or Mark Williams, or I know you run a Strange rear end in yours, correct?
Yeah, I run Strange. Everything has been Strange in my car since '94. Before then, I used the Mark Williams housings, and they're still both great. They're both good pieces and stuff. And then I know Jeff at Strange. That's the boy. That's the son. And so he set me up on a deal, and I've been with him ever since. And he takes care of me. And when I order something, I get it. And I've been warehouse with him for almost 30 years, I guess. And they make it's high quality. When I built Al Hoffman his last money car that he had, which had a 12-inch Strange in it. And everybody back in fuel runs most of them run a Strange. You get a couple Christmas in there every once in a while, but no Mark Williams that I've ever seen in a fuel car. But okay. Everybody's making good pieces today, but I'm just a Strange guy.
No pun intended, right?
Yeah, true.
Now, in alcohol dragster, y'all run a 4-clutch type system for your transmission.
True.
Are y'all allowed to run? Are y'all allowed to run certain gears in the rear end?
No, all we're allowed is
kind of limited.
All we're allowed is a 290 gear and a 4-disc clutch. We're not allowed. The Top Fuel can run any clutch they want to when they have clutch management. If they put a clutch a long time ago, they tried a clutch management and they tested for NHRA and they were booking. I mean, a long time ago, they went I think it was like an 09 or 509 or something like that. I can't remember how quick it was, but they don't want us to run clutch management. We'd be in the 4s.
Right. Well, I tell you what, you look at the nitro dragster and the alcohol dragster, which nitro is running 1,000 foot, alcohol is still running a 1/4 mile. And if you really look at the time slips of the alcohol cars running at 1,000 foot, they're not too far behind the nitro cars, not at all.
They're really not, because it's so much more of a smoother car. But when them fuel cars are on, they're on. I mean, they go 360s and we go like 440s, on a good pass. So that, you don't think it's very far, but it is. That's a long ways. That's a lot.
Do, do you think more people are staying around in the stands now, watching the alcohol cars more than ever than what they used to do in the past?
I think the nitro cars, we were at Indy when NHRA was going to do away with nitro cars. They were going to take them out of alcohol dragster because everybody was griping and fussing. The alcohol cars wasn't getting an advantage, and then the nitro cars were getting an advantage, and then they were doing, so they're just bickering back and forth. They said, well, this is the last one. And so we said, we would better go to Indy because we're not, this is going to be it, right? Well, when the nitro cars come to the line, the fans went to the fence, and that's what saved us on nitro cars, or they'd be gone today.
Right.
They would probably let them back by now, but anyway, but that they were gone. They were already said they were gone. They already notified us, and that was it. They weren't going to rely on nitro cars anymore in alcohol dragster. And back then it was like a, third of the field, half the field, and now it's just about all 14 cars. Like if you have 20 cars, probably 15 of them are probably, or 16 or 17 are probably nitro cars, and just a few alcohol cars now. Because alcohol cars, they're a completely different animal. You got to clutch on them. You rev them up. They kick the rods out, and I mean they're violent, and so it's just a little bit more expensive. They are more expensive to run than a nitro car because you're always having to service it. Because we run a top fuel bearings. I mean top fuel rods, top fuel pins, and everything is built for duty on our car. Where they try to run lightweight like in comp, and they break. And that's
Right.
what they do. But that's all.
They break a lot.
Right. That motor is not designed to go to 11,000 RPM. My comp motor was, but not these things. And they do it round after round, and they're staying together, but they still cost more money to run. Your maintenance is different, a little bit different.
Talk a little bit about Valtrain. We showed some pictures yesterday of the Valtrain. Without giving too many secrets away, because I think that is a thing that people really don't want to talk too much about. But we're just going to the basics of what manufacturer do you use? Say for instance for your intake and the exhaust valves.
Well, the intake valves are titanium on ours, and the exhaust is Inconel, which is a high class stainless. Anyway, the reason why we used to run titanium valves all the way around, but when it's always knocking the spark plugs out of it, blows the porcelains out of the thing, and they get caught underneath the seat, and they cut a trench right across the valve seat. So it's easier to change a valve than it is a valve seat. And so that's why we went over to stainless. I guess probably in the 90s, I guess, is when we got away from titanium, or I did anyway. And because it best to head up every once in a while, and it costs a lot of money to put seats in it. And but as far as the Valtrain, we've still run stage 5. We've had this, the same style of Valtrain for a while, and it's got some different people out there manting, and there's some nice pieces out there now on Valtrains, but we still run the standard deal that we've run years ago. And that's a picture of we run Alan Johnson heads. There's still a few people in the country still run them, and they are nice. They got a completely different setup than, say, Brad Anderson's heads. Brad Anderson uses a rectangle port, and we use a round port, and it's just philosophy on airflow and how fast it can go, and that's basically what it is. It's just different, and everything is a combination of the fuel and the fire and the clutch. That's all these cars give a hoot about, is just that you get all that right, and it's rewarding, and when it's wrong, it's not rewarding.
Right. I tell you what, man, them are some nice looking heads.
They're nice. I didn't even want to touch them when I got them here. I took them out of the bag, and I just laid them on the counter there for a couple of days. I didn't want to touch them. I figured I'd get my fingerprints on them. And then when the valves come in, the valves come in, I said, man, I can't put these in the motor. These are beautiful. And everything is so nice. Like them rods, my connecting rods that you showed a picture last night,
Oh yeah.
lightning connecting rods. And he's one of my sponsors and stuff. And he says, I didn't want to touch them. I didn't want to put them together. You know, you look at them, they're an art, and it comes on a plate. And he told me how they're made and everything. And it's really amazing. It's just a plate of aluminum, and the CNC machine makes them like that. And you don't want to touch them. They're so beautiful. I mean, the machining work. I was talking to somebody the other day about the CNC deal, and how we used to, back in the 70s and 80s, we used to hand make all our pistons for our comp car. We just take one. They called it a blob dome, and you have your grinder. You have your music playing. You sit on the bench and put 80 hours into a set of pistons. They're all handmade. And then when they come out with a trace mill, oh my goodness! Well, that was a cat. That was it. That was a cat's meow, buddy. With that damn trace mill. And then I get everything from Patterson. So Patterson come out with a CNC machine, and they CNC my chamber of the head, and they make the piston exactly as the chamber of the head because they have a pattern. And that revolutionized everything. So and everything you get now is all CNC done, which is perfect.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. They look like a piece of art. They are really nice looking, and it's neat how they make them out of a block of aluminum.
I know.
It's amazing. Everyone should please go. What's that?
You ought to see how they make the wheels. The new Top Fuel wheels they got. Anyway, it's a block, just like a trash can block of aluminum, and they make a wheel out of it. That's what the CNC machine does. And the same way with them heads. The heads are like bricks. They're like humongous bricks, and that's what the head's made out of. And it drills all them holes and force everything. It's really amazing what we can do today in this country. It really is. And that's
I think everyone ought to take a visit over to YouTube and search it. Because it's on there for people to see how a CNC machine cuts this stuff. I mean, it's just plumb amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of wheels and stuff, what is the traction compound has to be in for the tires? What kind of traction compound do y'all run over there in Alcohol?
Well, we're running actually a spec tire now, which is the only thing that's legal in our class. You know, we used to have an alcohol tire, which is a number 1230 tire. That was the number on it. Anyway, now the last couple of years we have to run everybody from Top Fuel to alcohol. Now alcohol dragsters can still run other tires, but us, we have to run the spec tire. So it's a certain compound where that's it. That's all we got. And I don't even know what the new compound is. I think it's a 6 or something, I believe now, but I'm not sure of that because it's only one tire, so I don't have to worry about anything. You know, I just get the same thing what everybody else has got, and that's it.
Now, what size rim is that those tires go on?
They're 16-inch rims.
16 by 15?
16.
Oh, 16 by 16?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And everything has to be beadlock on ours. An alcohol car can still run liners, and I don't know if anybody's really running the beadlocks on an alcohol car, but some of them probably do. But they can still run a liner on them and still get away with it. Where ours has to be clamped down tight, or they will come off.
Yeah, I'd rather run something with beadlocks on it. That's just my honest opinion. You don't have to worry about the tire, trying to slip on the rim. It's not going to go nowhere. It's going to be clamped down.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about the cockpit. What it's like to sit inside the cockpit of an alcohol dragster.
Well, if you're claustrophobic, that's probably not the job for you, right off the bat. But I've had a dragster since '85. That's when I built my first one, and I love that car. I mean, it was my baby really, and that's what started all of this today. And even though I had my Monza before then, it was still like a kit chassis that I bought. But the dragster was from here on out. That's what I've had. And I like it how it gets secured and stuff. And I got a friend of mine, he's a fireman that goes up that ladder, 100 feet in the air, and it swings from 12 feet to whatever. He won't ride in a dragster, but he only ride in a door car. I said, you get up on top of the ladder and you're swinging, it stops, it goes 12 feet and comes back. Okay. I said, holy moly. I said, that, and you're scared to ride in a dragster? It doesn't bother me with this dragster door. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But you fit in there and you feel actually safe in it, because like an Indy car, I wouldn't drive an Indy car for nothing. I might take a lap or two, but that's about it, and I'm not going to go wide open, that's for sure. But they have no cage in it or nothing. And it gives you really, the new one's got new protection. They got that new carbon fiber thing, but still, that's not
Right.
the tubing we got. And I make all my cages 1 5/8 083, all of them. And really, some of them they run 1 1/2 065, which is a thinner wall tubing. Now, I think when you got that above your head, you want the thickest tubing you can put on there. And that's what I've been doing since I've been in this business. Is that's the cage you get.
Y'all do welding cages there?
Yeah, we do everything.
But have you ever messed around with any bolt-in?
No, I wouldn't touch that at all.
I mean, it's got weak links, with a bolt-in cage. That's how I feel about it. Mm-hmm. If it's bolted in and not mm-hmm. welded, there's always a weak point.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Theoretically, okay, the bolt-in has the plates underneath the body when you mount them into a door car. So really, it capsules that flooring in it, which it does, okay, and it offers support, but it all depends on how much you hit it with the impact that it hits, whether it's going to be safe or not. And if you're only going 100, just say you're going 125 miles an hour, well, that's fast. Really, it is, okay. By the time you get to the wall, the impact's going to be down. So you're in a numbers game. I think I don't see it that way. It needs to be welded in, or it's nothing for me.
Right.
Well, yeah, do it. Because when it's welded, it's formed that flooring and that body. It's just another piece of the flooring is all it is. So it's if it comes out of there, it's taking the whole body with it. And that's what you want. All right. I hate to tell a bad story, but anyway, back when I first started running comp, there was a guy that had a BED car, and we didn't have to have all that roll bar padding back then. Anyway, it barrel rolled, and it beat his head up against the top of the cage because the cage was too short, and he was kind of like mentally brain damaged. Basically, after that, he was never quite the same, and he was a brilliant man. That's why you got to have the right stuff. I mean, you don't go in these cars to get hurt. You go to have fun. You get done with it. You drink your soda there or whatever you want to drink, and you go home and you enjoy yourself. It's supposed to be fun. It doesn't supposed to be life, altering racing,
Right.
So you got to have all that stuff.
You probably know Lyle Barnett.
Yeah.
He's a big advocate for safety. Mm-hmm. He has talked several people on different other podcasts, and I think for him going out and talking about his incident that he happened years ago up there at South Georgia Motorsports Park has actually opened up the eyes of a lot of people. So I want to give him special thanks. And mm-hmm. also Eric Medlin's dad, John Medlin, and some of the innovations that he has came up with the extra padding and stuff, and both funny car and also Top Fuel, and it's going on down to the alcohol ranks of that safety equipment. And unfortunately, it took Eric's life, but he made a big positive out of it.
Yeah, we used to get our tires from John Force Racing, the guy that used to help me on the car. They were all friends. So I was talking to Eric Medlin like for 45 minutes before he died too. And we were sitting there talking because I used to calf rope and stuff, and then he team rope. So, it's still roping, but it's still, different and stuff. So we're talking, and they called him up to the line there. And so we were chit-chatting and stuff. And I said, I got to go because I'm blocking y'all in. So I left, and then they called me like an hour and a half later, 45 minutes or whatever it was there later, that what happened. I said, oh, my goodness gracious. Things like them tires were coming apart back then. The cord, I don't know if Goodyear ever released exactly what happened, but that's what happened. It had so severe vibration, it just rattled everything, broke everything in half. Basically, is what it did. And when John Force did his deal, it broke the chassis in half, and he still had a hold of the steering wheel. So they really improved. I would say the Force deal with Medlin, they're the ones that really made a lot of progress with us.
Yeah, a lot of people owe them a big thanks and of
Everything.
gratitude for what they have done.
But it should have never
I
happened.
was actually, sir?
That should have never happened. It really shouldn't have. And it's because you don't have the technology to do what you're doing, and you got to kind of ease into the technology, and they had the power. So then they just didn't have the tires, and nobody really knew what that was the deal. But that's what happened with everything. The tires, it just come apart, separated, and everything, and it's severe. I can't remember the exact numbers, but anyway, the vibration that was recorded by the computer on the car, and it was violent.
Yeah, I was actually out there that day.
Yeah.
Tom Papkis, which is a wonderful welder, one of the best welders I've ever seen, and he was actually working for Don Schumacher Racing when Angel, and I think Antron Brown was running the Army bikes, and
Right.
he was working on the bikes, and so me and him became pretty good friends, and we were talking, and he was going to give me a set of used motorcycle tires, because I collect all kinds of stuff. And so I was dating another girl at the time, not my wife, and we went out there to the track on that Monday and walked down there to see Tom, and they were actually up in the staging lanes, and they were going to make some passes on the motorcycles. And as me and her were walking back up, I heard Eric go down the track. I knew he was fixing to run, and I says, something doesn't sound right. Something's happened. So we hurried up and got on down there, and Angel, she jumped on the motorcycle and drove down there to the top end of the track, and she turned around and came back and had tears in her eyes. And I told the girl that I was with, I says, we're not going to bother anybody about nothing. I says,
right, yeah,
we're leaving the track right now. Just the whole mood. I mean, it was devastating. David Grubnett, he was actually the next car to go down behind Eric Medlin. Eric Medlin. He was the next car in line, and they just packed the car up, and
it was done. Everybody was done.
They were done. Yeah, and it was very, very heartbreaking.
It was a sad day because that was a nice boy. He really was. Like I say, we were chit chatting, just carrying on the conversation. He said, "We got to go," and that was it. And then I get the call.
Well, one thing I seen about Eric that I really liked, if he seen someone that was active military walking by, he would go out there and grab them, say, "Hey, come over here," and talk to him for a little while and sign some autographs for him, and taking group pictures with them. Just a downright super nice guy, and he's still missed today.
Oh yeah, he could have changed the sport a lot. Yeah, at least, but everybody still keeps his memory going. That's a good thing. And then when Austin Prock did that thing a couple of weeks ago, when they're going through Forest Hill, they got a whole room for him.
Yes,
that's what he deserves.
Yeah, he was a super great guy, great to the fans, and he loved the military. And I just had the most respect for him when I seen that firsthand of him. Hey, y'all come on over here. Sit and talk with me.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we have a lot of great drivers in the pro categories and the sportsman categories that are that way. That's why I love our sport so much, because I believe that the drivers and those crew members know if it's not for the fans, we wouldn't have the NHRA. The NHRA would not be what it is today. It is a
Well,
driving force by
well,
fans
well, we
and, and,
have a
and
product.
members.
Yeah. We have a product. I mean, to have 22,000 horsepower leave the starting line at one time, we have a product, and everybody realizes that. But what separates the NHRA from everybody else, and I'm not going to bad talk NASCAR, but anyway, they put them behind a chain link fence. They put them in there like they're a prisoner, and nobody can have access to them. You can walk right up to John Force, put your arm around him, and everything, and there's no bad people going to be in the racetrack. That ain't going to
Right.
happen. And then they hug each other when they're taking pictures. Tell me what other racing can do that. No other racing organization does that except for NHRA. So we have the product of the two cars and the availability of the drivers. In NASCAR, all they talk about is the driver this, the driver that, and they're behind a chain link fence and sticking their pencil and their autograph thing through a chain link fence. To me, that's just degrading. To me, it is. You know.
It takes away the bonding of the fan with the driver,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I've always liked about NHRA, and I guess that's what draws me to it more than NASCAR. I mean, I do keep up with NASCAR, and I have been a big fan of a driver that he no longer races. He'll come in every once in a while and race. Um, Greg Biffle, that's who I like to follow back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, there's just so much energy in the pits.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Joe Castella, he hit the nail on the head in his show and said, "Hey, it looks like we're going to have bad weather for Gainesville, but look, this is your opportunity to go to the track. You'll have more time to talk to the drivers,
Yeah.
talk to the owners, talk to the crew members,
Mm-hmm.
get more information about their cars than you've ever got in your life.
Yeah.
Go ahead and buy that ticket and go." And I believe with him, getting out there and pushing that on his show, I think that was a result of what we've seen at Gainesville this year. Is all the people that came out, and even Wes Buck talked about it. He was totally blown away of
Mm-hmm.
all the fans. We got some hardcore fans, and
Yeah. Like I told
they
you
come
last
from
night,
all over the place.
there's no way with 12 inches of rain that I would have went to the racetrack in that mud and muck and everything. And the racetrack's going to be pulling water up out of it and all that stuff. And it wasn't. And when we went down the track, remember I told you last night on tune up, I said, "Oh no, we need to back it off so much." And I made the call. It's my fault. And I shouldn't have done it because I got chewed out about it. But I made the call just to go to A to B, and that's what we did. I thought the track would be absolutely garbage, and I was dead wrong. I was 180 degrees off. I was off. And the work they did to that place. I mean, we had water a foot and a half deep outside of our trailer for 3 days. And when they called us in the afternoon to run, I said, "No way, we're going up there to run. There's no way." And they went, and there we went. You know.
Now, I tell you what, Safety
And they got the
Safari,
money.
they worked their
Yeah,
butts off.
they did. They did an excellent job. So where do you get that type of anywhere else? I mean, where do you get that type of quality? You know,
Right.
I know they only have a quarter mile to do on both sides of the track and stuff. I understand that, but you still have to have the shutdown still has to be clean, which that track's almost a mile long or whatever. So, but the NASCAR track, you got 2.5, like Daytona, you got 2.5 miles. That's hard to keep groomed. It really is to get it perfect, and it's not. It's not. They do the best they can, but at NHRA, when they got their tracks going, it's excellent. Just like last week in Epping there, it was colder that one day or whatever, and then the track was just super grippy. But the fan, what got me is I said, look at that, look at the fans. It's like it used to be at the Gator Nationals back in the '80s. It was hundreds of thousands of people there. You couldn't even walk down the between the trailers. There were so many people there, and that's the way the
I,
Gators
I,
was.
I think NHRA's back on track,
I think so too.
and I'm a loyal fan of. Like I said, I've always loved it. I've been going for years. I got up here on my wall. I've got a shadow box, and it has all the tickets in it
Mm.
that I have been going to the Gator Nationals, and it also has all the tickets of my youngest son going to the Gator Nationals. And so all of his tickets are stored up there in a shadow box for him later on to get back out and maybe make a display case for them. And we made a thing in his room where every year he gets a hat pin. And we've got like a canvas, a painting canvas. And I said, we'll get this painting canvas, we'll stick it on your wall, and every year you get you a hat pin and you stick it up there on that canvas, and
That's a good thing to do. Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
Now it says, and so you can look back on it as you get older of all the times that you've been to the track and relate that back to me and that time that we shared together when you become a man. And you can do the same thing with your son.
Yeah.
To get back on the dragster and what y'all do there at y'all shop, what type of seats do y'all use in your
Seat?
cars?
You said seats? Ours
Seats?
is aluminum. Yeah, ours is an aluminum seat, and then it's covered with ISP fire retardant material, and it has the padding in the bottom of it. It has to be padded because you can get your boat, if it wasn't padded, you can chance of getting your back broken and stuff like that. So it's padded, but ours are fire retardant. The whole seat it's all fire retardant because aluminum is going to keep it. And I make mine out of 90,000. Al Hoffman got me to make his first seat or his seat in his funny car out of 90, and I never made a 90 seat before. I said, why is it so thick for? He said, because you ever been on fire? I said, no. He said, I have been. He said, that gives you a little extra time to get out. So my seat's a 90 seat and 90,000s. And then you cover it with that flame retardant thing, and you're in it like a cocoon. You know, it's a form seat. Some people, like when Teresa drove it, we had a fitted seat. So it's a kit that you buy, and you put it in the seat and you sit in it for an hour, hour and a half, and it forms to your body with your fire suit on it and everything else. Where with me, I have the regular just foam in there because I'm bigger than she is. And so you just need a little extra room there. So I don't have a form seat on my car or now. But that's what we have. Some people just run a padding down the center of it. It's good. And but everybody in our class, I think, either has aluminum seat in their car.
Okay. Now, to get into a safety aspect, because we know how important the belts are and stuff that y'all use in the car, but there's another safety component that y'all use as well, and that's your fire suppression system to pull and put out the fire in case you have that behind you.
Yeah, we don't have it on our car. We're not required. In a funny car, you are, but not on our car. And I'm not saying that we don't need it. I've never have needed it, but it's always something you got to think about. But we never did do it on our car. But if it's a funny car, you have to.
Right, because the engine's all in front of you. Everything's in front of
you. You want that thing put out. The dragster, you don't know. I've had Teresa on fire a bunch of times, and just never got her yet. So I guess that's a good thing, I guess. But having it behind you solves 90% of your problem.
Now, but if you added a system like that, you're going to get a little bit more weight, but that'll also give you the ability to move around some weight as well.
Yeah, it's not, the systems are not, the bottles are, aluminum bottles, and they're not very heavy. And then it's all stainless line, so that's not very heavy either. It wouldn't really add that much weight to your car, because our cars are overweight anyway, because that's the way we run, because nitro, it weighs 10 pounds per gallon. And so you might run 5 gallons out of run, you might run 7 gallons out of run, and you might run 5. It's 8 or something. So it just fluctuates all over the time. So we always run our car heavy just to make sure that we have it in the track. You can make 2 runs in a row and it really won't use the same amount of fuel both times. It's so how long you do your burnout, how long you sit there. And that's when you waste a lot of fuel is on the starting line. You're doing a long burnout, backing up. The guy doesn't stage, you stage late, whatever, and you just use so much fuel. So 10 pounds is not going to make a big difference on our car. It really isn't.
Okay.
On some cars it will, but not on our car.
Now, you have a gentleman that's working with you in your shop, and he also is into running alcohol dragster as well, correct?
Yeah, Angela Grande, we've teamed up together. We've been together. He's been helping me, I guess. He says 5 years, so I don't know. I don't keep track. I guess it's been about that long. And then Brad, he comes along with him. So that's our team now. And it's worked out pretty good between the three of us. And when we used to run, we used to have my daughter, my son-in-law, and stuff like that. So it was still a family deal, the same amount of people involved and stuff. But he's got a lot of vision. He's got a lot of vision, and he worked with Bill Evans, and he bought Bill Evans's car, so it's here, and we're gonna do something with both cars, one car or the other. We're doing something, and that's the way we're hitting it out right now, because we figured out with everything that's happening, we can't do this on our own, and we're gonna do it one or the other, you know. And it doesn't make a difference to me because I've raced all my life. He hasn't, and so he needs a shot at it too, and that's what he's going to get.
When y'all are at the track and you're going through getting everything ready, do you have like a checklist board inside the trailer where everyone has to sign off and check so you know each step has been completed?
Well, I don't, okay, and Angelo don't, but Brad brought it up at the Gators this year, and I have a whiteboard up in the front of the trailer that I go off of. It's got magic markers all over it. Anyway, that's my note board, and I have a sheet of paper that I have a checklist like for me to do. Anyway, but Brad brought it up at the Gators. He wants a whiteboard on the outside door of the trailer. We're going to check off on it. Everybody's going to check off on it on what to do and what's got to be done on the car. And I said, I agree with you 100%. Then I said, that just eliminates one more factor. But I've never had it before, but maybe I haven't done it right, you know? So I'm not saying that I'm right all the time, but maybe it's time to change. And like I say, mine board up front, it's got all the settings on it. It's got how much on the BDK valve, how much on the air, how much on the fuel, how much on the clutch, the time, what tune-up is in the car. I have all that. I put that all on that whiteboard. And then if that's what we've run, and then I come back and enter it when I come back after a run. And then, of course, it's entered on the raceback download. You know, you enter all your numbers in that, but not like it was on my whiteboard. And so I agree with Brad that that's what's got to be done. I mean, these things are, people really don't realize how complicated they are. And I talk about it all the time. I said, it's more complicated than space shuttle because this comes out of your pocket. This ain't taxpayer funded. And so it makes it more important when you waste $1. You know,
Right.
on a space shuttle, they don't care if they lost $100,000. They don't care because they ain't paying for it. Well, I am. And it comes out of my right pocket. And so we have to be sure. That's why we can't go testing like we want to. This is like with John Fink. He was down there in Braden when we were down there this year. Anyway, he was there for, I think, 2 weeks. Well, we were there for 2 days, you know, because he can do it. And that's what it takes to be competitive in here. And you just got to have the funding and the money and the time to do it, and the people to help work on the thing too. So, and you got to have qualified people, and that's where we're at right now. We got qualified people to work on it, and that's where we're headed. We're trying to do a new leaf right now.
Would you give someone the opportunity if they came to your shop and said, "Hey, I would like to be part of the team. Uh, this is what I'm familiar with doing," or you pretty much got your team, and is it kind of hard to train somebody to do a specific job?
First of all, I'm going to talk to you and see who you are, and then I'm going to see what qualifications you have. I remember Dale Armstrong telling me a long time ago, he said he wants people with no experience whatsoever, where they don't have no bad habits. And I've tried to live by that, but I can't. I have to take what I got. But right now, what we have today, I'm willing to take somebody in right now when Angela first started with Bill, he did all the grunt stuff, you know, and he worked his way up to the clutch, and he's a clutch guy, okay? And he can whip that clutch in and out of there quicker than anybody. But in the beginning, he had to work at the bottom. So if you're willing to do that and learn and be a helper before you can achieve anything you want to do, then, you know, let's talk. The guy used to work with me. He went to school to be a mechanic. So I said, how come we can't get somebody out of the school out there, to come over here and help us work on this thing? And it never did happen. So I was thinking, because they have these WyoTechs and all this stuff that help. A lot of the top fuel teams have these people on their team. But I said, how come we can't get one locally, And we never did. But I asked about it, but it never did happen.
Right. And I understand you want someone to start at the bottom so they will gradually get more and more acquainted with the steps that have to take place, during getting ready for the next round.
You need quality help, and that's what is hard to come by these days. But people that work on these things here got to be observant. They got to have vision, and they got to be careful. They got to be held accountable for their actions. There's no mistake can be made. Mistakes get made, the people get hurt. And
right. I pointed out my ears. They got to listen.
All right. And these things here, you get away with it for a little while, and you do this and do that, and you get away with that, you get away with this, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're hurt. And
exactly.
And you can't do that. You just gotta have somebody that's willing to, this is not like just say like football. I mean, you practice, you go home, you watch your TV, and that's it, right? Well, we're here at 11 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, or whatever it takes to get it done. We're here. It's like when we were running the IHRA circuit, we had to be certain a place at a certain time, and they paid us to be there. Anyway, I remember many times 3:30 in the morning, we're loading the car up at 3:30 in the morning, and that happens. That happened a lot. And now we have everything kind of spaced out. We don't have the races that we go to like we used to, and because the South just doesn't have that many races for us anymore. So ours are all spread out, so we can have time to do things where before we didn't. So you had to be really sure what you were doing. Have the people.
Yeah, I tell you, you mentioned something really good, about shortcuts. You take a shortcut, you get away. Shortcut, you get away. Eventually, shortcut's gonna bite you.
It's like a credit card. I mean, that's the best example there is a credit card. Okay, you keep charging, you keep charging, you keep charging. Then one day it balloons, don't it? And what does it do? It bites you. And that's the same with these race cars here. They're stupid. They can't think. They only know that it's like a computer. Only the information you put in it is what you're going to get out of it. And that's the same way with the race car. And that race car will tell you if you're not working on it. It'll tell you, why didn't you lap the valves in the last time you had it apart? And they're leaking now. That's the type of thing that it tells you that it needs to get done, and you don't do it, and it'll tell you what's wrong.
Right.
It'll tell you you're not working on it. Just like Bill Evans is one who's calling their shots on the car now, which used to own the car that Angelo's got. So he calls my shots now. I don't want to have anything to do with it anymore, but I do. I'm like a car chief, I guess. And he calls the shots because he has the experience and he has the know-how and stuff to get it done. And we just carry out his thought plan. And that's the way we're doing it now. And it seems like it's headed in the right direction. We're not there yet, by no means. We're not there, but at least we're making progress. We're heading in the right direction.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you put out your telephone number again if someone's interested in getting some work done on their car.
Mm-hmm.
And let them know how to contact you.
Okay, you can go to icwracecars.com for the website. It has all the information you need on there, prices and stuff. But as far as the door cards, the back half, that you just have to talk to me about that. And that number is 352-495-5158.
And again, everyone, we're talking to Ron Griffis. He's the owner of Innovation Chassis Works there in Gainesville, Florida. Also drives Top Alcohol Dragster. And I tell you, thank goodness we have not had any technical difficulties tonight. Everything is going great. I can't be happier. And I am so sorry that we had those issues last night for you and for our viewers.
I know, and it's raining outside now. So it's given us another factor. So I figured, the rain, I said, oh my goodness, it's raining and lightning and stuff. And I said, oh, now it's going to knock us offline. But we haven't had no difficulty tonight at all. At all.
It might have been on my end trying to do it from another location. So that might have been the cause of it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I got stuck at work, could not make it back to my house to be able to do it, and end up having to try to do it from my office. And I was off the clock, so I wasn't getting paid while I was doing the show.
You don't do that, you get yourself in trouble.
You better believe it. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been great. Is there anything else that you might want to mention and talk about what y'all do there at the shop, or anything else in
Well,
dealing with racing?
well, whenever you're doing racing, if you need help, need something welded up or whatever, make a bracket or something, give us a call. Whatever, nothing's too small. And because I know what it is not to have it. Because when I go racing, I don't take my welder with me, and I know what it is if I broke something, what it takes to get it fixed. So if you need anything done, whatever, just call me up and I can bring it over and we can fix it here. I have everything here to fix whatever you need to get done. But the no prep guys, I was saying with the real cars, that's where a lot of cars are going, and it's you got to do things right, and you got to have the right suspension under the right location of this and that and the other. And so if you need any help, just give me a call, no problem.
Well, you're talking about no prep, and Justin Swanstrom kind of stuck in my mind for a second there, and what had happened to him. And they had to take his car off to, oh, what's his name's, Bajinga's shop, and fix it before the next no prep race, which was
Mm-hmm.
totally amazing, to get that car turned around and back out. And that's the type of stuff that Mr. Griffis does at his shop.
Right. Well, look, right now I got two rear ends out of a no prep car. He brought me two rear ends. He wrecked it. It bent the axle tube up. So one bracket broke off of it. So I had to cut the original bracket that he had welded to it off of it and make a new one for him. But he can't buy that bracket. He made it himself,
Right.
So, or somebody made it. Not he didn't make it, but anyway. So he brought me the old rear end. I cut the one bracket off of it. So now that's what I'm doing now is making a bracket for him to put on his new rear end that I'm narrowing down and putting it all together for him. So that's a small job, but people got to have. They don't have no rear end for the car. What are they going to do? They got to have a rear end. So whatever you need to get done, just give me a call.
Well, I tell you what, it's been great tonight, Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Griffis. And like I said, you're more than welcome. Reach out to me whenever you've got some breaking news and you like to come back on and join us. Also, I'm going to try to get up there. If everything works for me, I'm going to try to get up to Charlotte and watch the second race of the year up there. Unfortunately, I was not able to go up there for the four wides. But I hope you're able to go up there as well and stop by your pits, take some pictures, some live video, and share them back on our page for our viewers to see.
Okay. Yeah, we're preparing like the day my camshaft come in, and they told me like 6 weeks on the camshaft. Everything is 6 weeks to 3 months out. Everything is now, right? And I got my camshaft in a week and a half. I said, whoa. So it's trying to tell me to start preparing to try to go, because we got to do some testing because we have a new combination. This is a brand new combination that Bill wanted us to put in the car, and that's what we're doing. And so we got to get it worked out. So everything is kind of ahead of schedule a little bit. So now we're just looking for the funding to be able to afford to go.
Now, are y'all going to try to do some testing out at Gainesville, or y'all more like down the break?
Probably go to Bradenton because we can sit there for 2 or 3 days if we have to. And we go in there like the day before, set up and stuff, and then we run the next day. And if we don't run good enough, we sit, or not good enough, we want to test some more stuff, we run another day. That's just the way Wade does us. And so he's just a heck of a nice guy. And
I call him the king of track prep.
He's the master. He's the world authority on track prep. And he tuned this place up here. I heard through the grapevine that Wade was helping him up there. And when I went out there to sign the guy's license Saturday night, I walked out on starting line and said, wow. I was kind of impressed there. And it's a Saturday night, just drag slick deal. And it was that good a prep. So Gainesville's come around here. They really got it together now.
They have been doing a great job. Jody, the new track manager, she's trying to do all different types of things, bring in different events there at Gainesville that we haven't had in the past.
Mhm.
And my hat's off to her. I think she's
You're
off
doing a
to
good
a
job. Well, their hands are kind of tied, because NHRA owns the track, and they have their national event and their divisional race. So in reality, their hands are tied because that's their main attraction. So they don't want to jeopardize that at all. But all these other independent tracks across the country, they rely on weekend racing, and
right.
like if you just follow, I'm just saying Wade, for instance, down at Braden, and all the stuff that he has. I mean, it pops up on my Facebook and then the Instagram and everything that he's doing. I mean, that's what they have to survive because it's independently owned. But NHRA owns that track, so they don't have to have it, and they're starting to let them to have it. So that's what they need to do, in the direction they're heading in. So I think they're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think the communication between her and the NHRA is really good right now,
Mm-hmm.
allowing those extra events to come in at the end of the year. The 352 shootout that Derek Putnam
Mm-hmm.
puts on. We've got this other race that's going to be coming up after the 352, and No One Fights Alone. And that's more or less not just a race, but also a fundraiser for
Mm-hmm.
St. Jude's. And I'm actually going to reach out to that gentleman and have him on one night and talk about that as we get a little closer in the year toward it. And then we have the Horsepower Hustle that was actually supposed to take place in May, and they moved it back to December the 9th, 10th, which I think was a pretty good move because who wants to be in leathers in late May? you know,
Right.
it's a little nicer to be in leathers in December.
It sure is. I walked out there today. My building's all steel building, and I walked out there today, and I said, "Wow, it's hot today." I mean, the ultraviolet light was out there. I said, "Man, I hate to have a job where you have to work out in the sun all day long." You know, so I imagine when we go to Braden, when we actually went 270 not too long ago, it was 91. It was 11 o'clock at night, and it was 91 degrees that day. And at 11 o'clock, it was 89 degrees. We went 270, and because you can't run during the daytime. It's just too hot. So we just service the car during the daytime, take our time with it and stuff, and then wait till 6:30 or so to make a pass with it. When the sun goes down a little bit, you can make a pass, but you can't run in that heat like that. You're going to kill the car and kill yourself too, you know.
Yeah, I'm dreading these next couple of months out there bracket racing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which we now race. Used to do, we would come in the afternoon and race into the night,
Right.
but now we start at 10 o'clock. The track goes hot for time trials,
Right.
and we're having such big car counts. Even starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, we are still not getting things finished. If we have issues on the track, maybe some pull downs or some accidents, it can be 10, 11 o'clock at night
I know.
because of the car counts,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good thing. That many people's coming out to the track and racing.
Mm-hmm. Well, on this A fuel car, I don't like running at dark, period. And here it was 11 o'clock at night in Braden. Didn't bother me one bit at all. And it was because it was so hot during the daytime. You're working up to that, and you just kind of block it out. Where if you're bracket racing, you kind of work yourself into that schedule.
Right.
To the night, and it's like working outside. You can't go out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and go to work if you've been sitting in the air conditioner all day long. And the same way with that, if you work your way into it, then it doesn't bother you. Like down in Braden, we started at 6:30, so we're working our way into it. And then at 11 o'clock at night, by the time we get the car, with three of us now, it takes us like 2 hours to turn it around when we're just testing. And so 11 o'clock was our last pass at night. 2 nights in a row it was 11 o'clock at night, and it was still hot. It was still 89 degrees. So
I know last year we raced out at Gainesville. I think it was on a Sunday. The track temperature was 150 degrees. I kid you not.
mm,
And believe it or not, they've done such a good job with track prep out there.
mm,
No one had any issues whatsoever.
right.
Everybody got down the track, A-OK. No one was spinning the tires. You know, they were doing a jam up job to be able to have us race on such a hot track.
Yeah, the 150 is ridiculous. Yeah,
It was wild.
140 is ridiculous, and 130 is ridiculous, but that's 150 is just out of sight.
I think the air temp was like 100 and 101. I mean, it was blistering hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so glad when it was over and I could go home and take a shower.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, when we were ours, we have our our tractor, or whatever you want to call it, our truck that hauls the trailer. It has a shower in it and stuff. So many times when we go, like we're in Michigan or something, we take a bath before we leave. Because you have that opportunity to do that, but a lot of people don't have that. And that
Right.
cool. After you've been out racing all day long, and you race all day long, and you're not going to get done till 5 or 6 and get everything loaded up. You take a shower and then you drive all night. That's the dedication that it takes to get everybody back to work.
Well, I'll tell you what, it has been fun tonight. I appreciate you coming back on. And
Anytime.
this broadcast is going to be shared on a couple of other Facebook pages as well, for other viewers to see, to attract more people to our show. And if you're watching this and you're not following us, please jump on. We got pretty much a guest almost every show so far that we have done. Next Wednesday night, we're going to have Taylor Watson. I've reached out to George Price. And we're hoping to get him on next following Wednesday, which I think is, what's that, 22nd. We're going to try to have George Price on, and I'm trying to book people left and right. And the one thing I like doing with this show, and I think I mentioned a little bit yesterday, I just don't go for the winners, the top runners all the time. I like to share people's stories everywhere behind the scenes of drag racing, or if you're running ARCA series. There's so many other stories out there that needs to be brought out. And sometimes our drivers in NHRA, they don't get that opportunity. They're only on FS1 for just pretty much the event and maybe a little interview at the top end after the run. It doesn't give them time to really connect to the fans. And that's what I like about these podcasts, why I started doing a podcast. Yeah, and I'm okay with it. Go ahead and go over and follow Wes Buck and Joe Costello. Follow them as well, because all three of us we love this sport and we wanted to keep on, moving forward, bringing new life into it, and because it's going to take those younger people to keep it growing.
Yeah, so I was talking about last night. You go out there now, and it's from little kids 10 years old all the way up to 75 and 80 years old still in this sport, because the people that originally built this sport are 75 and up. And
right.
Because I started when I was like 16 back in the 70s, and so I've been around. They call me old timer, I guess. But anyway, I've been around a long time, but not as long as the original people, and they've seen the sport grow. It's really, when you see some of the old stuff, the technology and how primitive it was compared to today's deal, they come a long ways.
It has. I think you was talking about Grumpy Jenkins yesterday. You watch the old videos of Grumpy Jenkins racing. He's got an open face helmet. He's got a cigar hanging out of his mouth. And,
I like this is a shift a little bit. He just kind of shakes his head a little bit and goes on. That's the video that I liked.
Yeah, I love watching those old videos of the innovators of the sport.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He went to Cornell Mechanical Engineering, and his professor wrote in his yearbook that he was smarter than Einstein. Now that's a compliment right there. And he wrote that in his yearbook. And
I tell you, I missed him at the events. I always got a kick out of him when his car was running. he would go up there and sit on that wall, have that cigar
Yeah.
hanging out of his mouth.
Well, he's the father of these things.
Oh, he is.
He's the father of Pro Stock. It's because it started just regular, a 67 Camaro or 68 Camaro, whatever year that was. He's the father. So, and look what it did, how advanced it is today. And he's the one with the first tube chassis too. That 72 Vega had a tube chassis in it. Nobody had a tube chassis before. They just used square tubing or whatever come with the car. That's all they ever used. And so, and then Cosworth kick out and the hood scoops and you name it. He invented it or designed it or did something with it back in its heyday. And he didn't have no money. He was on Chevrolet or, I guess GM's payroll. GM was paying him every year to design and invent stuff. But I mean, he wasn't loaded, and to do what he did, he's brilliant.
Well, I never had the opportunity to walk up and talk to him, and I wish I did have the opportunity, to be able to do that. But yeah, a pioneer of the sport, definitely.
Yeah, I've talked to him a couple of times and stuff. Asked him questions, and the guy that used to help me on my car, him and WJ were really good friends. So he, I would go to ask WJ because we were in comp and stuff, and he's brilliant too, and but I could talk to people like that. You need to ask because they've already been down and they've had factory money and stuff like that, so they've been able to work their way through it and become successful. And we're trying to be successful. We know we never get where they're at and stuff, but at least we can try and make it look good.
Right.
We need help.
Well, I appreciate it. I guess we're going to go ahead. Man, we actually went longer tonight as well.
I've seen that. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Well, I get everybody there's money worth from last night.
That's right. But I think we done very well trying to make it happen last night. We lost you. You called in. You were still able to talk over the telephone and everyone hear you. Got it back up and going. I think we done pretty well last night with all the problems that we had. But tonight it's actually been way better, and I'm very thankful that you were okay coming back on as well. I wanted to give you an opportunity to get some more time because of those interruptions.
Well, I appreciate it very much. Thank you for having me on because we got to expand our horizons here and let people know what we're doing. And this is a good way to do it. Just having a good talk with people is rewarding.
Right. And you're right about that. And that's why I like, talking about these podcasts. NASCAR has satellite radio. They have a couple of channels on TV that you can go to, like Race Hub and things like that. And NHRA don't have that opportunity. And this is what I believe me, West, Joe Costello is meant to do, is do these type of things right here. And there's others. There's Chad Reynolds and Lyle Barnett. They have a show as well. And I enjoy watching it. And I learn a lot from them. And very appreciative of them. And that's why I like to promote them. Did you freeze or are you good?
I'm good. I'm fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You just kind of quit there for a minute.
Okay. I thought that you was like stuck for a second there.
Maybe we're pushing our luck and go ahead and sign on off before something happens, right?
Yes, sir.
We have pushed our luck tonight.
Well, I'm very thankful that we did and was able to do this.
Well, let's
Thank
do it.
everybody for watching. Don't forget to catch us next Wednesday night. We'll have Taylor Watson on. We're going to talk about a little bit of going roundy round. Something that we don't get to do too often, but we're very happy that she's going to share her stories with us in our viewers. Until then, we appreciate everybody for jumping on. Thank you, Ron, again for
appreciate it very much.
Coming back on, and I'm looking forward to getting you back on in the future. Maybe we can get you on right before Charlotte if everything works out great for you. Keep my fingers crossed.
If we go down to Braden, maybe we can do some filming down there. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a great afternoon.